In 1864, two battles of the Civil War were fought in Saltville, Virginia, and this Friday the Saltville Historical Society and the Town of Saltville are going to make history come alive when they host a reenactment of these battles. And here to lead the charge to Saltville for the rest of us is Jim Bordwine. Jim, appreciate you being here today.
All right, thank you, Brenda, for having me.
Let's talk about this reenactment. Y'all been doing this for years, haven't you?
We've been doing this since the late 80s, so it's been around for a while.
Have you been there every year? Or?
Yeah, I helped kind of get it started. I was one of the first reenactors in the area.
Yeah.
And it's just been a building and building every year. It's a very fun hobby, and we try to teach the history as accurately as we can to teach people what was really going on and how important this area was during that time period in American history.
And this right here is the whole reason these battles were fought, right here.
That's right, over the salt.
It's just so important back in the 1860s to have salt to cure meat, keep things intact, so the rations that the soldiers were eating all were in salt.
That's right. Folks don't realize, how important salt was. There wasn't no refrigeration back in them days. You couldn't depend on the winters to stay cold enough to freeze the meat, so we had to use the salt to preserve it. And I tell you, salt is so good at preserving. There's a ham in Saltville, Virginia right now. It's over 90 years old. They say you can still eat.
I don't know if I'm going to go.
I don't believe I won't.
I don't want. No, I think I'll leave that to somebody else.
I'll take your word for it.
But it was so important. And when folks come to this reenactment, what can they expect? If someone who's never been there before shows up, what can they expect when they come for this reenactment?
All the reenactors out there will be dressed in period clothing.
Right.
The ladies, the men, the children. We'll have historical figures there. Robert E. Lee should be there this weekend. Last year, Abe Lincoln wandered through the camp. He made it out alive, so I thought that was a pretty good thing. We'll have, all day long, we'll have demonstrations and talks going on. And we like for people to come talk to us, ask us questions about our hobby, about the history. And then the battles will be at 2 o'clock. We'll be recreating the two battles of Saltville.
Right.
People don't realize, like I say, how important salt was. Again, in the 1860s, your average working man, if he made $100, $125 a year, he was doing good.
Right.
In 1864 alone, that 1 year, even though we fought two major battles trying to keep them scoundrels out of there, we sold $100 million worth of salt that year. And that's $1864.
$100 million.
$100 million.
And we were talking earlier, there's a lot in Saltville that comes out of the ground. We got the salt, of course, but there's also the fossils, the antiques from the war, from the Civil War, all the way back to the American Indians that were there as well.
It's amazing to see the Indians that were there. They started back during the Ice Age. They followed the animals like the mammoth and mastodon into the valley. They discovered the saline springs. They stayed there. They started making salt to trade to other tribes. Right. That went on till the year 1567 when Spanish soldiers come in and wiped out the village. When the settlers came in back in about 1750, they discovered the saline springs, started making salt, and it became a huge business. Like I say, all up to the 1900s when it turned into a chemical industry.
Right.
In fact, we made the rocket fuel, put the first man on the moon there in the 60s.
So history goes all the way back in Saltville, Virginia.
Goes back.
Hey, if you want to be part of history, come on out to this big reenactment that's happening. The Battles of Saltville reenactment is happening Friday, August 21st. Wellfields, Lake Drive, Saltville, Virginia. They have a Facebook page. They would love for you to come out this weekend.